Welcome to my 30k subscriber Q&A. You probably know how these work already. I asked you guys to send me the questions that you most want answered, and I'm gonna go through as many of them as I can in this video. It might end up being a pretty long video, but this is a 30k special, so I thought I'd answer all the questions for anyone who wants to listen through it. Also, a lot of these comments have multiple questions, so if any comments show up where I skip one or more of the questions, it's probably that they're just going to show up later in the video. Because this video is so long, I've organized all the questions into 4 general groups, and then left timestamps for these groups in the YouTube video. But yeah, let's get right to it. What is your age? I'm currently 21 years old. What countries have you visited and where do you want to visit? The coolest places I visited are probably Switzerland and then Costa Rica. And then for where do I want to visit? I'd love to go to the Netherlands and I'd love to go to Japan, but I don't know, I haven't traveled much in a while. And then a bunch of questions about my IGN. So basically, I had one of those really early IGNs that I came up with when I was like 4 or 5, and I just used that entire time, right? But when I was like 14, I started thinking that maybe I should change my IGN away from the one I came up with when I was 5. So I started changing my IGN to a bunch of different stuff. And the reason that it's stuck as Banjee is this is one of the IGNs I was trying out. But back then I was playing a lot of Rocket League, and I kept queuing into the same guy in 1 versus 1, and we started knowing each other and knowing that we always wanted to do a freestyle 1v1 whenever we played each other. And I would keep queuing into this guy and having to reintroduce myself because I would keep changing my name, but eventually I downloaded Discord so that we could stay in contact, and I ended up sticking with that one IGN that I was at the time instead of keep changing it and then having to reintroduce myself. The name Banjee itself comes from Banjee Castillo, a character from Hot Wheels World Race, which was my favorite movie as a kid, and then the RL after it is just because Rocket League was my main game at the time, and when I came to Minecraft and changed my IGN to Banjee, obviously that was taken, so I just added RL since that was still my main game. Bedwars only became my main game like a year and a half after I started playing. Dogs or cats? For me, it's cats. I've had some bad experiences with dogs, I can't lie. Do you rewatch your own vids? Yes, I do, especially my montages, but yeah, I do rewatch my own vids a lot. The whole reason I edit them like I do is it's exactly the kind of content that I would want to watch. So like, I'm literally the target audience for most of my own videos. What career are you studying in college? I was originally in college for computer science, but to be honest, I was really bad at it and I didn't enjoy it at all. So I actually ended up switching majors to economics, which has been infinitely more enjoyable. My brain actually works with economics in a way that it didn't with computer science. Hopefully I can graduate this year. Who is your favorite YouTuber? It's kind of hard to choose like an individual YouTuber. I would say Neat Mike, but unfortunately he is not a YouTuber, so I think I have to end up going with GeoWizard. All the straight line series he has are absolute masterpieces. Probably my favorite series on YouTube. Also, Boffy, I used to watch so much Boffy when he was Minecraft only. I've kind of fallen off of watching his videos recently, but like old Boffy is also right up there for me. Why are you so involved in your comments? I did YouTube for a long time before anybody started actually watching me, and so at first it was just so cool to be able to interact with all these comments on my channel for the first time, and then at some point it turned more into like a sense of what's right almost, and it's an easy way to stay involved with my community and actually interact with people, so that instead of being like a weird mystical figure behind the video, I'm actually a person. And since I spent all this time creating a video and then posting it, I found myself really wanting to hear what people thought about it, especially when people take time out of their day to leave a comment. Like, I really want to hear what they're saying. What is one thing you don't like IRL? Roller coasters. I hate roller coasters, dude. I don't want to go on any more roller coasters, and I'm probably content never testing that again. At one point, there was like an 8-year gap where I didn't go on any roller coasters because I hate them, and someone convinced me into going on another one to check if I still hated it, and dude, I hated it. So yeah, no more roller coasters, por favor. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you still enjoy Bedwars? Pretty hard to put on a scale, but probably somewhere around 7. Have you ever met a fan in real life? So far, I've not been recognized in real life, which I'm probably happy with, which I'm honestly happy with. Like, I'm not sure I'm looking forward to the day that that happens, but I have had some really close calls, like direct family members or friends telling me that someone at their school or their camp was talking about my videos randomly. So it may end up happening one day. Do you watch anime? Yes, I do. What is your favorite music genre? This is kind of difficult to choose because the only way I've really been able to rank music in my head is by genre. Like, it's hard to choose an overall favorite song, but I can choose my favorite Eurobeat song, for instance. So pretty difficult question. I listen to a lot of electronic and different subsets of that, like some complextro and stuff. I listen to a lot of Vocaloid. I listen to a lot of Eurobeat. I listen to a lot of like J-pop, a lot of rap. It's honestly really hard to try and choose a specific genre. Sorry about that. How do you manage recording and editing with school and university? My time management is really, really bad. So basically I just kind of do what I want to and then pay for it in the future, where it's like sometimes I'll spend all day editing a video and then it turns out I have some work and then oh well, I just have to stay up till 3 a.m. to do the work. So like I'm doing okay and I've managed to keep a decent upload schedule through a lot of rigorous university weeks, but I wouldn't say that I'm cooking or that anybody should copy it. I'm just kind of like forcing it. Who was your favorite YouTuber growing up Minecraft wise? It was definitely this channel called Or Pros that posted these like text skits for hypothetical Minecraft things, like what if dirt blocks were worth $1 jillion, and then they'd have a little skit about like the noob who had all the dirt getting rich. I would watch those every week they came out. I would go up to my mom like, please can I watch the new Or Pros video, please, please. And then there was also one guy making these Herobrine encounter videos that were really big for my childhood. Like Herobrine encounters the fisherman, and it'd be this video about the fisherman whose wife died and then Herobrine possessed her, and you'd slowly figure it out. They were like really well made for the time. What's your favorite Bedwars YouTuber you've never mentioned? This is kind of a tough one because I do mention a lot of the people that I actually watch and interact with, but I guess I would go with Sock. I watch all their little montages and clip dumps just for like insane gameplay, which is always what I'm personally looking for out of the content anyways. What's your favorite bug? My favorite bug is probably Scutidra coleoptrata. How did you come across Minecraft? I don't remember how I originally heard about it, but it was somehow in my head and I was just asking for it for my birthday when I was like 7 years old. And back then it was only Pocket Edition, so I ended up with like Pocket Edition version 1.04 alpha or something really early. But I don't remember how I had heard about it. Probably from school or something. What's your favorite food? I think I probably have to go with burritos, dude. I love burritos. There's so much you can do with them. What do you like to do in your free time? Sometimes I like to edit videos, sometimes I like to play games. One thing I really like is driving, just ambiently driving. I also really like watching movies that I'm like actually interested in. But a lot of my free time unfortunately just goes towards school and homework and all that. Why do RS Flicker and Dragon not show up as much as before? Simply put, they stopped playing the game. I can still bring them back for specific things, like the footage I wanted to have in my 30k thank you video, but it used to be that they were active players and this was their main game just like it was my main game. And so we would all be on and all looking for parties and finding each other and grinding every day. But now it's just not their main game anymore. If Hypixel came back and you were getting 1 million views a video, would you be a YouTuber full time? Immediately, dude, like in a heartbeat. If I was getting 1 million views a video, I would be a YouTuber for the rest of time, bro. What is the achievement you are most proud of? I don't know if this is talking about in reference to YouTube or in reference to my life, but I suffer from that sort of mindset where everything you do feels kind of obligatory even if it's actually cool. Like, yeah, I graduated high school because it's what you're supposed to do. Hopefully I'm gonna graduate college because it's what I'm supposed to do. Actually, I'd probably say getting my car. I saved for 16 years to get my car. It was all I thought about. As soon as I knew what cars were when I was 3 years old, I'm like, I'm saving all my money to get my car. And eventually I got to buy a car of my own. It's still the coolest thing ever, like 3 years later. Although honestly, getting 30k is right up there as well. This is basically the longest ongoing project of my life so far, and to actually get there after all this time is so cool. Do your parents support you in YouTube? Yes, my parents are fully supportive of this entire thing, and they're actually really proud of me, which is super cool. I'm forever grateful for them. I know that there's a lot of scenarios like this for other YouTubers where they've had to like keep their channel a secret, or their parents weren't really a fan of it or something like that. But no, my parents have just been fully supportive the entire time, and I appreciate it so much. Who is your biggest inspiration? I've talked about it before, but it was Cool Dude 951, a montage maker from 2020, and arguably the greatest to ever do it. Okay, sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna do something I don't think I've ever done. This video has already taken like 20 hours to set up, record all the voice lines, collect all the screenshots, order all the questions, start getting them into place, doing all these graphics, finding which comment goes where, and I have finals next week, so I low-key just cannot deal with this right now. So I'm just gonna drop the graphics entirely and do just the questions and me talking. Feel free to listen to it like a podcast or something, but I just cannot do another 55 minutes of graphics for this. Hope you enjoy the rest of the questions, and good luck if you plan to watch it all. Top 3 Sofago songs. My answer for this actually changed by the time that I was editing it. I'm gonna say Gear 2, Stay Dangerous, and Hyakkimaru in that order. Honorable mentions include Devil Fruit, Applause, Shut Up, Phone Call. He's got too many hits, man. Are you mentally healthy? Not to be a massive downer on the video or anything, but probably not. I've been struggling a bit mentally this past half year or so. I think due to like burnout with school and some other things, but I've been very fortunate to have really good mental health throughout most of my life. So honestly, this is a kind of interesting experience in itself. But yeah, there's nothing really to worry about. I just haven't been doing ideal. What is the name of your microphone? This is the Toner 777. What is your usual mindset when you play the game? It changes a little day to day, whether I'm trying to like actually play to win and sweat, or sometimes I'm goofing off trying to get like clutches and stuff, although that happens a lot less than it used to. Usually I'm just trying to play to win. Do you have any pets? Currently no, but I used to have some guinea pigs and I really miss them. I can see myself getting another small pet like that immediately after I'm out of college. Do you play any board games or collect trading cards? I don't really these days, but a while back I used to really like playing Monopoly, and I was decently into Magic the Gathering for a while. All-time favorite artist is really hard to think about, but currently I really like Fago and Uzi. Like right now I'm kind of in that music vein. And then a bunch of questions about what other games I play. I actually made a video about this on my second channel, a little montage of clips from other games that I've played in case people were curious, so I will link that in the top right. I think this is a really good video, to be honest, so definitely check it out if you're interested. But other games that I've mained include Rocket League, Skyrim, GTA 5, Plants vs. Zombies is goated, the list goes on. Right now I have 32 gigabytes of Corsair RAM, I have an Nvidia 3090, and I have an Intel 10700K as my CPU. Do you enjoy cooking food? I enjoy it a bit, like I don't seek it out all the time, but yeah, I've had some fun cooking before. I can probably cook a little more than the average college guy my age, but not enough to be impressive, just enough to survive. And then do you have any strange or unique phobias? I don't know, I can't think of any pronounced phobia I have that isn't somewhat natural. I don't love heights, I don't like falling, I'm not particularly claustrophobic at all, I'm not a huge fan of flying. Like there's a couple things, but nothing super pronounced. Have you pulled and will you pull? And then similar questions. Yes, but it was a long time ago, and I hope so, but I don't know. And then what is your favorite prestige? Definitely 300. 300 is basically exactly my favorite color. It's my favorite prestige, simple as that. Where do you source your shader edits, and how do I get shaders like that for myself? The shaders are just an edit that my friend made because he thought it'd be cool and then gave to me to test out. And then the other things like the rain shaders and the specific profiles and stuff I've done with my regular shaders are all just me editing it. So I didn't really source them from anywhere. I've always been a fan of just doing it. If you have a cool idea, just figure out how to do it. Do you like 6'7"? I do, dude. I think 6'7" is actually pretty funny, but it's for a really dumb reason, which is that nobody else thinks it's funny. Like when it was first a thing, I thought it was really dumb, but as soon as everybody else gets sick of hearing it, then it's really funny to say 6'7" in everybody's size, or to like sneak a 6'7" into my in-class question and then half the people know it and half the people don't. And then questions regarding my Minecraft skin. Did you make your skin yourself or did someone else make it? Basically, I used to change my skin a lot. And at one point, I wanted a skin of this character whose name is Sora. And so I looked up what existing skins there were, and there were 3, I think. One was pretty good, and another one had the little crown on his arm that I liked. So I just downloaded both and then manually remade the crown onto the skin I thought was best. So I technically made it myself, but the skins are just like a composite of 2 other people's. But yeah, the skin itself is Sora from No Game No Life. And then questions regarding whether I actually look like my skin in real life. And honestly, I think I have to leave these for if I end up face revealing, then you'll see, but I don't really want to spoil it. Do you watch football, soccer, and what team do you support? I do watch some soccer, although not as much as I used to. I tend to support the Dutch national team, and then various mid-table Premier League teams that end up beating all the big ones like Brighton and Wolves. If you didn't play Minecraft, what job would you have? Well, I'm not quite big enough to call Minecraft my job, but I honestly have no idea. And then questions about how and why I met Tenchi. Tenchi used to play a lot back in the day, but he started playing the game again because of my video, and so he was in like my Discord server and stuff. But the first time I ended up actually interacting with him, because he would join some of my streams practicing with Cool Dude for our Josie style tournament. And then later I ended up playing him in queue and winning while I was nicked. And then I sent him some ominous DM about like GG and then explaining it later, and we just ended up becoming good friends. What kind of water are you? This is an awesome question. I think I'm just rain, dude. I think I'm rain. Do your parents or siblings watch your content? I don't know how much of it they actually watch on a regular basis, but in general, yeah, they check it out. And then finally, how do you feel hitting 30K and getting the ability to finally have YouTube rank after years and years? I've talked about it in my 30K thank you video, but I am just so content with how it all went. I genuinely wouldn't want to change it at all. It's so rewarding to finally get here without having to compromise on any of the other things I was stubborn about, like types of content that I wanted to create. And then with that, what are you most excited about in having YouTube rank? Unfortunately, a lot of the benefits it used to have, like giving you better hit reg, don't exist anymore because you're no longer exempt from the anti-cheat. That would have been the most exciting thing if I didn't get lagged back anymore, but they actually took that perm away. Or if they didn't take it away, it doesn't apply to the new anti-cheat. So I think my favorite parts about it are definitely the custom nick system, which I'm already making so much use of, and then always having access to private games. What's a video you put effort into but didn't get the views it deserved? All my montages are just pure passion projects, so when one of them doesn't do very well, I always get pretty sad. But I think I would have to go with my learning 5 skills video, because it was the first one I really tried to like meta edit and put all the subtitles on and do all the sound effect editing, hoping that it would somehow get like 100,000 views, but it got like 25. And then what did I not put effort into but got a ton of views? That would probably be my my new texture pack video, the first time I played with Snowfall, because I hadn't even set up any of my snow settings yet, and it wasn't even particularly good gameplay, I don't think. I was just playing with snow on and using Snowfall, but it got a ton of views because I've always used the same texture pack, and that was literally the first time that I changed it. And then most money from a vid, my mouse video did make somewhere around $1,000, but that really puts into perspective how big you have to be to make this a career. Like that's 500,000 views on a long form video and it got $1,000. When are you gonna post that one video you didn't want to post? I call this the 4th game. A lot of OGs to the channel will probably have seen this video where I was just acting insanely stupid and recorded it into some solos games. What he's talking about in this comment is that this video has 3 games in it, and there was actually a 4th game from the same session that was so stupid that I cut it out. And a while ago I had done some sort of subscriber thing where if I got 10K before the end of the year I would have to post that video, but luckily I did not get that, so I never had to post it. I'm pretty 50-50 on this. I low-key don't want to post it anymore because so many more people are gonna see it and it's actually really embarrassing. But I don't know, we'll see what the future holds. Do you ever think you'll reach 100K? Currently, I don't think so. I don't think at the rate that I've been growing, I'll be doing this for another like 6 years or however long it would take for me to get that. I would have to change niches probably, or like blow up. And then this one also has, what's your favorite tip in all your tips and tricks videos? There's a lot that I think are pretty cool, but my favorite is probably the Fireball 2-pillar. It was so much fun figuring out all the different ways to use it and experimenting with it before making the video. And then after making the video, there was actually a really positive reaction to that particular tip. Like I saw a lot more people using it and finding it super useful and recommending it to other people. So yeah, I'd probably go with Fireball 2-pillar, although Strafe Switch is also pretty cool. When you started YouTube, how the hell could you adapt to the editing stuff? How long did it take you to master editing? I started making videos back in 2015, way before I started posting anything to YouTube in any real capacity. And I basically just worked my way up the ladder from starting with the simplest thing possible, which I think was Movie Maker, up to softwares like Filmora, and then eventually to Premiere and After Effects. But as long as you have a good foundation of how to use this sort of thing, the rest of it is fully up to your imagination and your willingness to learn. Like I would think of an effect in my head and be like, I really want to make this no matter what. and then I would just spend the time necessary to make it, even if I had no idea what I was doing when it started. Watching all the tutorials, trying all sorts of stuff, and that's basically how I started getting any experience with like After Effects. Still don't really know what I'm doing, to be honest, but at least I can make some of the stuff that I want to. Will you ever do any content with your family or so? My sister is actually in a lot of my videos because she's the one who introduced me to Bedwars. But yeah, it could be fun to do something like making my mom try to play. What's your favorite thing about doing YouTube? So far, it's just been people enjoying the things that I want to make. Simple as that. You have something you're really interested in, and then you can share it with the world, and that is awesome. That is so cool. But also the fact that by doing what I want, I'm actually helping some people out there in different various ways that I probably can't do justice by explaining it. But I sometimes get messages about how my community or my videos have actually helped people in real ways in the real world. And I'm doing that just by doing something I want to do anyways. So that is insanely cool. What was your favorite vid to edit? This is pretty tough as well. My favorite montages are definitely up there, like Candyman and Ready for Love were both really fun to edit. Tips 1 was really fun to edit, but I think I have to give it to my most insane 30v2 castle clutch. I had just found all sorts of new music to use, and I tried really hard to like match the emotion I was trying to create via the music, and I did all this complex stuff because the footage in that video is basically top 1 footage for me. I've wanted a castle clutch like that for years and years and years, and I basically got the best possible one I could before Castle became kinda unplayable. So I had so much fun preparing that footage exactly how I wanted it. Although my 30k thank you video was also just euphoric to edit, I really wanted to make that video for a long time, and I had a lot of clear ideas about what I wanted it to be like, the music I wanted to use, and I think it came out great. What is your favorite vid? The answer to this is actually very similar to the answer for what my favorite vid to edit was. I would probably end up going with Tips 1, Ready for Love, Candyman, that castle clutch, winning the tournament with Kaizek is on there, my video about the rain shaders is on there. There's actually a little clip dump on my second channel that's up there. There's honestly a lot of good options. Do you think your editing style is something anyone can do if they learn and set their mind to it? For the most part, yeah. It gets a little more difficult when it comes to montages because everyone's brain works kind of differently for like imagining what they want to create. But in terms of regular videos, I definitely think people could just learn my exact style and do it if they want. The main focuses are just on game look, commentary, and music. So I think anyone could replicate it if they wanted to put the time in. What was the most depressing part of the grind to 30k? If the grind counts for everything, it's definitely the period before anybody watched me for like the 2 years where I was taking it kind of serious but still getting 0 traction. But if the grind is just when it really started, which is after the tips video, it was probably the long section between like 10k and 16k. That entire mid-year section before I posted the mouse video, which really kicked off the grind again. How can you beat hackers? I still might make a hacker tutorial at some point, but to be honest, I've stalled that video so much that a lot of the old hacks I was going to show people how to counter don't even bypass on Hypixel anymore. So yeah, I don't really know if that's coming or not. Why do you think high ping is an advantage? The simplest way to break it down is that low ping has the advantage for damage and high ping has the advantage for knockback. And since Bedwars is a mix of those, all of my complaints aren't really valid. Like there's certain scenarios where high ping is going to have an advantage in Bedwars, but there's just as many where low ping is also going to have the advantage. Only in games like Sumo can you make a real case that high ping is actually an overall advantage. So a lot of that is honestly just cope and me not being able to deal with it. How many hours do you have on Bedwars in training? Kind of hard to estimate. I'd probably say like 4,000 or 5,000. 1,000 hours a year seems like a reasonable guess. When you started YouTube, did you find anything hard and how did you face it? When I started, I didn't have any expectations of ever like getting anywhere on YouTube. So I honestly didn't have any hardships. I was just making videos that I found fun, so honestly I never really experienced anything super difficult. I could have just stopped at any time. Long comment that basically says that he wants to do the same thing that I did, and do I have any advice? Bedwars is going to be a really hard niche to like grow a channel from 0 in, unless you have some sort of external skill like really captivating editing or really good gameplay. So like I always say, the best you can do is just focus on doing what you want to and having fun with it. Don't let your happiness with your YouTube project be tied directly to how successful it is. What made you start this channel? Back in 2015, when I just started making videos, they were completely non-edited Rocket League montages, quote unquote. So I wasn't even posting them to YouTube or anything. But then somebody had invented the air dribble, and people were learning how to air dribble, and it was a really impressive thing. And so I spent a long time trying, and I eventually got an air dribble goal. And I thought, this is too cool, I have to post it on YouTube. And so I made a YouTube account just to post like my first air dribble goal. And I have a 30K special plan that involves reacting to some of these old videos. So stay tuned for that. Will you ever start taking YouTube seriously? Currently it's kind of up in the air. Depends on a lot of things. Where do you find your music? I talked about this in the last video, but I honestly think I should mention it again. The main ways I find my music are 1, from other people's videos, 2, the OSTs from shows and games I like, and 3, randomly browsing around looking for music as like an active activity. But the biggest one is definitely using the background music from your favorite games and shows. This is such an ideal scenario because as long as it isn't Mario Kart, it's gonna end up being unique music. And in my opinion, having unique music is a big deal when it comes to succeeding on YouTube. I know me personally, there are some of those same songs that everyone uses that are so overplayed that I actually stop watching a video if it uses that song. So I try to make a point of always getting different music from other people. If you had to start over with 0 subs, what would you do differently? I honestly don't think I would change a thing. I had a long period of time where I got no growth, but that eventually led to me appreciating my actual success so much more than I would have if I succeeded right off the bat. Like, that's why I still respond to every comment. So I don't think I would change a thing. If you have any recommendations to start a channel, what would it be? Basically, you just have to have fun with it and make sure your expectations aren't determining how much fun the YouTube thing is. Don't tell yourself that it's only worth it if you end up making money or end up getting a lot of subs, because then it probably won't go anywhere good. How do I come up with unique video ideas, and how do I stay motivated and consistent? For me, staying motivated only happened once I had achievable goals to work towards. Like, once I started catching on, it was really fun to keep up that momentum, and that was my main motivation, is like achieving further goals. But I agree, it was super hard to stay motivated that entire time where I wasn't seeing any growth. I don't really have any tips for that. And then as for ideas, I don't exactly know how to explain how my brain works when coming up with some of them, but one thing that I do from time to time is taking videos from other niches of gaming and turning them into Bedwars. You can just look at some other YouTubers you watch in other games. For me, for instance, it was Rocket League, and come up with ideas from that, translating them over to Bedwars. A lot of them actually work pretty one-to-one. And then why do you stream at 3 a.m.? Partially because that's when most of my viewers are online, and partially because that's when I usually have free time to play. Why do you have the Bedwars style that you have? If you mean game look, it's because Cool Dude was my inspiration and I wanted to use his look, and then I just kept improving it to be what I wanted from there. But if you mean playstyle, I don't really have a good answer. How did you come up with the tips and tricks idea? I talked about this in my 30K thank you video, but basically I noticed that an advanced tips and tricks video could do really well, and then I made it. Are you doing YouTube as a full-time career, or do you just see it as a part-time job? It's definitely not a career, and I actually don't see it as a part-time job either. It's still just a hobby that happens to be making some money now. But I'm not at the level that I could take it seriously and just immediately have a career, so I haven't really thought about it as something more serious yet. And then what's your monthly income? This seems to be most correlated with how much monetized content you have published in the backlog. So like for a while, despite being monetized and posting videos getting a similar amount of views, I'd make like 40 bucks a month. But nowadays, since I have like 2 years of fully monetized content that are each getting 10 views a week, now I make closer to like $150 to $200 each month, even if I don't post that many videos. How did you grow so fast on YouTube? This is a funny comment because I actually did not grow fast at all. It took me 5.5 years to get to 30K, and it took me like 3 to get my first 500 subs at all. It's cool that it seems fast, but nah, this was a long journey. If you had one item to choose to use for an entire game, what will you choose? If you get unlimited of them, I'm choosing pearls or like fireballs. If you only get one of them, I guess diamond sword. Will Bedwars ever die? Unfortunately, yeah, it probably will. What do you think about the sweaty Bedwars lobby? For a newcomer, it's really hard to win a game. I have an entire commentary video talking about this, but I put it on my second channel because because I thought it was too bare bones, but then it got a ton of views anyway. So I'll link that in the top right here if you want to watch that. But yeah, essentially I kind of agree with you that like it's impossible for the new people. Why do you not use Lunar Client? Basically, I started by using Badlion way back in the day because I wanted to use replay mod and Lunar didn't even have it. And then at some point I switched to Lunar because it was the more popular client at the time and I played with it for a while. But then one time I booted 1.20 in Lunar and it erased my entire profile. And at the time I had been planning my raise up edit, so I decided to just say who cares, if I have to remake my entire profile from scratch I might as well do it on Badlion client so I can use replay mod. And then since then I've just had no reason to switch. Is Bedwars still fun for you? It kind of depends. A lot of the people I used to play with and have a lot of fun with have left. There isn't as much to learn as there was when I was new, so like it's certainly less fun, but there are still times where it's really fun. Yeah, if you had to use one vanilla cape all the time, which would you pick? Probably the like cool golden and red one from Mojang or whatever. Don't you think that your sub count is too low compared to the other Bedwars creators? Not really. I mean, I'm posting content that I consider old guard. Like I have a pretty unique game look and editing style and whatever, but essentially I'm just making like commentary click sounds and like sweaty gameplay, and I have a lot of really good ideas and like spins that I put on it, but I'm making pretty old guard content, so no, I think I'm doing really well for myself. You think that I should be a survival creator because I'm chill? I will say that I probably will try some sort of survival video at some point, possibly modded, I guess we'll see. Have you ever cheated in your whole life? If so, why? I'm actually really glad you asked this because I think it's a pretty funny story. I've played Minecraft as long as it's been out, even though I haven't played Hypixel until like 2020. But before Hypixel, the thing that I played was a server called MC Central. And on MC Central, they had one of those prison servers where you like mine ore and make your own plots and grind money. And me and my sister and my friend Push all loved this server, dude. We played on this server a ton. And one of the things that that server had was murder mystery. And in the murder mystery map, there was this little hole in the fence just barely above where you could jump to. If you had gone up there with parkour, you could jump into the hole and just barely not make it. But a lot of the time I saw people getting out of the map and running around outside, and I wanted to do that so bad. And this was probably in like 2016. So what I did was I looked up Minecraft hacks and I got worst client and I turned on spider hack and used it to boost me the slight extra amount. Spider lets you climb up any block like it's a ladder. So I would like jump to the hole and just climb barely up and then get out, and I would run around on the outside of the map. And it was every bit as fun as I thought it would be. It was so much fun and I did it over and over and over. And then obviously I got banned. And I sent this long appeal apology about how I only did it because everyone else did. I'm so sorry and I'll never do it again. And then they lessened my ban to 2 weeks from 1 month. But yeah, and after that I just never cheated again. Before I got banned though, I was looking for other things to do with it, and I went on Mineplex. If any of you were around back then, Mineplex had these lobby parkours you could complete to get the currency, like a lot of the currency on that server. And I just used spider hack to go directly up the side of the wall instead of doing the parkour. So yeah, long story short, I downloaded Worst and used spider hack on a couple of these old servers back in 2016. Unfortunately, I don't have a perfect record. Who is your favorite Bedwars YouTuber that still plays the game? Pretty much every creator that I actually watched a lot has quit, but I guess my favorite current creator would probably be Harmony, because I always watch his montages when they come out, and I sometimes catch up on those commentaries too. What is your favorite game mode other than Bedwars? I really like Bridge, I really like Sumo, I really like Block Sumo, but I don't know, Bedwars is honestly kinda unrivaled for me. And then what's my favorite game mode? Definitely Doubles. What was your first Bedwars game like? I have no idea, man. That was a really long time ago. I don't think it was anything in specific, but it was probably on Swashbuckle. And then what are your motivations to keep going with YouTube? Currently, absolutely nothing except it's fun, and maybe at some point I could turn it into a job if all else failed. And then have you always been good at Bedwars? Nope. This was my very first competitive Minecraft like PvP game mode, so I was really bad. I think I could only consider myself good once I got to college in like late 2022 and I had much more stable internet and I was taking the game really serious, and then I ended up making Tips 1. So yeah, it probably took me a little over 2 years to actually get to the point where I could call myself good at the game. But keep in mind that I'm like 3 times as good as I was back then when I said I started getting good, so it's kind of hard to to measure where good is? And then, do you actually think you're good at the game? I honestly do. I think I'm really good. I know that in terms of physical skill, like aim and things like block-ins and actual PvP intellect, I'm definitely lacking a lot compared to other good players, but I've put so much work into theory crafting and the mental side of the game, and so putting together the mental with all the random techniques and the different creative ways I found to use them, I definitely do think I'm good at the game. How long have you been playing Minecraft or Bedwars? I've been playing Minecraft since probably 2011, and then I started playing Bedwars in June of 2020, so basically 5.5 years. And then let's rapid fire this gigantic comment. Thank you for all the questions. Who do you think is the best player? Probably Dweer. What is your next sub goal? 30k was always the ultimate one. 100k is too far off to be reasonable, so I don't have any right now. Butterfly tips, I'll probably make an entire video on that. Do I want to get 1,000 stars? Not really. At first I said not really, but I could low-key see myself wanting that in the future. Have you ever played ranked? Yes. Do you make your own texture packs or does someone do them for you? I make all of my texture packs myself. Like, a lot of them are just editing other textures, but no, I do it all on my own. And I do it to be exactly what I want, which is why the packs even exist in the first place. I had never planned to release my 1k pack because the only reason it existed is I wanted to change some things specifically for my own exact ideal game look. But then other people ended up liking it, so it got released. How do you figure out your tips for videos? It honestly just came from playing the game a lot and then recognizing what I'm doing and finding the reason for why behind it. And then once you have that first reason, you can consciously build out other ways to use it, or whether it's just a one scenario sort of thing. This is only really possible because I rewatch my footage a lot in the form of clips or when I'm editing my own videos and stuff like that. If you could only play one Bedwars map for the rest of your life, what map are you picking? Ideally, I would pick Skyrise. It is my favorite map, but recently I am getting such awful frame rates on that map for some reason. But assuming that's not the case, then yeah, Skyrise forever. What is your experience with Bedwars and the community? The community that's left now is nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. Back in the day, it did seem to be pretty awful with like a lot of the doxing and sniping and just general horribleness, but a lot of that has faded away as the game has gotten so much smaller, and now it's definitely not that bad. Like, even just Rocket League is significantly more toxic than Bedwars. What motivates you to play Bedwars? These days, it's probably chasing the fun that I had with it back in the day, which is kind of a depressing answer, but I think that's probably what it boils down to. Have you ever tried to play with a mouse that can't drag click? Probably no is the answer to this question. I don't think I've ever played on a non-drag mouse. Pretty much every mouse can drag click as long as it has decent debounce or it's really old and doesn't have any like debounce prevention. Those are probably the wrong terms, but you know what I mean. Do you ever think about not sweating anymore? I honestly feel like I'm not really sweating half the time that I play. Obviously I want to win, but there's a lot of times other stuff going on that's more important, or I'm just dumbing around trying to clutch. So yeah, I spend a good amount of my time playing, not actively sweating. Why don't you play ranked Bedwars? The largest reason is that ranked takes away a lot of the game aspects that I find most interesting. All the different items, the fact that everybody's on a different team, so there's a lot of important decision making, and a lot of that just kind of gets muted in ranked, which has a much larger focus on like physical skill and PvP knowledge, neither of which are my strong suit. And then the other thing is I don't like the queue time. I want to play the game if I'm getting on to play the game. What's the single best tip you have for improving your Bedwars gameplay? I'll talk about this in a future video, but the biggest tip I can give is to just consciously think about what you're doing. Try to make every single background process and decision a foreground one. Like, why did I choose to fireball there instead of bridging up? Or even things as small as, why did I go on the right side of my defense to make that bridge? And then sometimes you'll find actual cool reasons for them. What's your KDR, FKDR, blah blah blah? My FKDR is like 7 and my KD is basically 1. But keep in mind that this is the account I started playing with back in 2020 when I had no idea what I was doing. So my true FKDR is probably closer to like 13, which is what it is on some of my alts. And my true KD is probably closer to like 1.1 if you don't count the thousands of deaths from trying the God Bridge and Breezily Bridge back in the day. But I don't have any tips for making them higher. I've never worried about the stats side. What is your opinion on the new rotation system? If you mean the map rotations, I think it's awesome. We need more cycles, more maps coming in, and not the same maps for 4 months. If you could choose a quad team, a trios team, and a doubles team, which players would you choose? My answers to this are honestly pretty basic. Doubles team, I would choose my inspiration to start playing the game, Cool Dude 951. Trios team, I would choose the GOATs of Bedwars, which would probably be Technoblade and Gamerboy 80. And then quad team, I would probably just pick all my closest friends from back in the day. We'll go Flicker, Dragon, Push. What tier do I think I am, and can I get tier tested? I don't really know about how the tiers work, like how much better A tier is than B tier, but I think at my best I'm probably an A tier player. Unless we're talking 1v1s, and I'm probably like B minus. Can you get tier tested? Maybe. I'm not particularly against it. When you won the tournament with Kaizek, were you doing a lot of ranked bed wars, and did you do any specific training? For the tournament that I won with Cool Dude, we were taking it pretty seriously. We were actually coming up with like a comm system and trying to fix input lag on Discord, and doing a lot of little training streams to get used to Josie style and coming up with good strategies. But the one with Kaizek, I did zero preparation. I don't even think I was really playing the game that much at that point. I just woke directly up, got a blanket, and went and played the game. No ranked bed wars, no particular training, but luckily I got paired with Kaizek, who was one of the best players in the tournament, and I ended up doing just enough to help that we managed to take the win. How frequently do you fight sweats or cheaters? Basically every single game at this point. And then, do you think DeWeer is the real #1 player? I was never able to say yes to this because I hadn't really interacted with him. The only times I had fought him was 1v1 for Steve's video, where I wasn't really trying and ended up somehow having a really close game. And then when I played against him with Kaizek in the tournament, and we beat him pretty easily, so I never really knew how good he actually was. But recently I got to do some 1v1s against him and actually learn how good he is. And yeah, I think it's safe to say he's probably the best player. What is the weirdest interaction you've had in a Bed Wars game? It actually happened in Castle. Back in 2022, me and Push ended up fighting against James Charles in Bed Wars, but we never ended up with super serious confirmation that it was actually him. Like, we were basically 90% sure based on a lot of things, but we never had like a stream clip because James Charles didn't stream. And then 2 years later in Castle, I noticed that on my team was the teammate of James Charles back from that game in 2022. So I started talking to him like I knew James Charles. And I said like, yo, dude, do you know James? And he's like, oh yeah, I do. And I say, oh dude, I used to play with James Charles too. Sometimes he's talked about you. And just like trolling this guy. But it was such a weird interaction because I just remembered his name from 2 years ago and then actually got confirmation that that was James Charles we played all those years ago. Leave a comment if you want me to upload that game on my second channel. I still have the footage. But yeah, that was probably my weirdest interaction. What is the most fun part of Bed Wars for you? The reason I prefer Bed Wars over all these other game modes is because of the chaos that it creates. The level to which your decisions actually impact your success in the game. It's why I don't like games like Skywars that don't take very long, or games like Duels that are specifically centered around your physical skill. Bed Wars has such a gigantic mental game involved, and there's so many different ways to play it and different ways to make use of all the items. So I like Bed Wars because of its skill ceiling, the same reason that I ended up liking Rocket League so much. If you had started in 2025, would you quit since there's an inflation of sweats and hackers? As long as I'm having fun, I would expect to be posting videos regardless of my size. What's the plan for the channel after YouTube break? I don't really have any real plans at the moment, except for just going back to the content I want to make, not feeling pressured to make anything I did for the algorithm, although that very rarely happened anyway. So basically just cut that out and do the content that I want, and we'll see what happens from there. Are we ever going to get a setup tour? My setup has been the same for the last 5 years. It's really simple. I did post a picture of it in my Discord server if you're curious, but it's literally just 2 monitors and then a ton of wires everywhere. I don't have any lights or anything fancy like people might want from a setup tour. If Bed Wars content doesn't work out, will you switch to vanilla content or do something else? To be honest, there's really no way that Bed Wars content doesn't work out. Like, it already has worked out, and I have nothing more that I want to get from it. So I can just keep doing it as long as Bed Wars has any audience at all, and probably be as happy as I am now. But I may switch to some other stuff if it ends up working when I test it out later, just because it's of course fun to make the videos you want to make, and at some point I'll probably want to make something other than Bed Wars. And then I got some questions about making an editing tutorial. I'm fully open to this, I'm just not really sure what people would want. Do Do you guys specifically want a tutorial on how I make my montages? How I make the decisions I do? Do you want to know about the specific ideas behind each video that I make? What I do with the music, what I do with the actual editing, what parts I decide to leave in versus cut out from the games? Anyone who's interested, definitely let me know exactly what you want from an editing tutorial, and yeah, probably at some point can do that. And then I've gotten plenty of comments about doing a face reveal. I'm currently kind of 50-50 on this. I don't really see a point in doing it right now, but I also am not super opposed to doing it in the future. Will you ever do more collabs with YouTubers like you used to? I actually still do a lot of collabs with a lot of the other YouTubers in the space. I just stopped making it a big point in my own videos. Like, it used to be that I would be, oh, I played with Dario, and that's the entire video, right? It's like, look, it's a collab with Dario. But nowadays, I just don't put as much emphasis on it, but I do a lot of collabs for other people's channels, and I expect to probably do some more in mine. I actually have multiple vaulted videos that I plan to edit that do include a lot of other YouTubers from the space. Will you ever use Fulbright? I doubt I will ever use Fulbright again, unless I switch to like a modern version and don't have access to my shaders or pack anymore. And then a question about the future of my channel. It's still just gonna be exactly what I think is the most fun to record and edit. But yeah, probably some more fringe videos like commentary, possibly some other Minecraft modes, definitely some tutorials that I keep saying I'm gonna post and then don't. And that does lead well into the next question, which has to do with the GameSense guide. The GameSense guide is fully scripted. I actually recorded myself reading the entire script as well, but then I put the project on hold because the video is going to end up being about an hour long and I just couldn't manage to make it while school's happening. I think I'll try again to make it over winter break, but I'm honestly not that sure. One thing I realized while showing this to some of my friends is that like I never make videos focused on my own GameSense. Like sometimes I'll talk about it in my solo commentary videos and when I'm talking about my gameplay and my decisions and stuff, but like I have a lot of absolutely ridiculous clips that just never make it to YouTube because they never fit into anything. GameSense clips that, you know, don't go in a montage, so that if they're not in a game that I fully recorded and posted, they just never make it to YouTube. So a lot of people might not realize how sweatily I've taken the mental side of the game. And that's just a big motivator for still wanting to get the GameSense guide out. It's like, it's gonna be crazy, dude. It'll probably be my best video. But yeah, long story short is it's definitely coming. Any big projects for later vids, the biggest projects I'm working on right now are the GameSense guide and my 30K montage, which are honestly the biggest projects of my career besides Tips 1. So hopefully I actually managed to get both of those out. How long are you planning to do YouTube? I don't have any time-based answer to this because it's really unclear what I'm gonna do once I graduate college. Maybe it'll be something that's so fulfilling that YouTube just takes a complete side, but maybe it'll start off kind of slow and then I'll still do a lot of YouTube. And then who do you wish to collaborate with? My like dream aspirational collab would probably be Fruit Berries if I had to pick somebody, but I honestly do not see that happening. Will you ever do modern PvP? I've already dabbled into some modern modes for fun, specifically Sword and Sky Battle, but I am so cheeks at hotkeying and I just don't really have any drive to play the sort of things like UHC or anything like that. If I was to quit Bedwars, what content would I do? Just whatever I wanted to at the time. And then some questions about what my next goal is. 30K has literally always been the ultimate goal on the horizon, so I honestly don't have anything just like prepared to go into that slot next. I haven't come up with another goal yet, and I might not ever come up with another meaningful goal. Are you gonna have another pack besides the 30K one and Snowfall? Probably not. I expect to never release another pack. My 30K pack exists because it's exactly what I want to play with, so I probably won't ever change off of it. Can you release a Spotify playlist? The way I've always worked with music is just downloading it locally as like MP3 files to my computer and phone, because I have to have them like that anyways to edit with them. And a lot of the music I listen to are these random fringe types that aren't going to be on any streaming service. So this is just easiest for me, but it also means that I like can't make a Spotify playlist, but maybe this would be interesting to explore at some point. Am I gonna quit, and how long do I plan to keep playing? I don't really have any specific plans. And then, are you finally releasing RagF after like 3 years? RagF was released in my last video, my 30K Skies release. It has been fully released, unwatermarked. The prophecy has been fulfilled. Do you plan on trying to get creator ranks on other servers? I really wanted YouTube rank on Bedwars Practice, but they actually stopped accepting people people like a week before I met the requirements, and they haven't opened it since. So I assume that server is just dying or dead, but I may try to get it on the MCC Island server so that I can play Sky Battle-Nicked if I need to. Why do you want to stop playing at some point? This is a very interesting question to think about. Why does one stop playing a game that they used to enjoy? Like, why did I stop playing Rocket League? The answer really isn't that clear. It just stopped being fun at some point, and then there was something that was more fun, which was Bedwars. I assume that the same exact thing will happen with Bedwars at some point. Are you planning to make any more Tajes at the moment? Definitely. I have some Tajes in the drafts, and then also my 30k Taj, which I'm really hoping I'll actually keep motivation to make. It's been in the works for so long. But yeah, I have another fully cinematic intro to another montage that I haven't finished yet. Like, definitely expect more Tajes. Do you plan on modding your keyboard? No. I'm not even sure what a keyboard mod would look like. When will you release the sky overlay with the 4 anime girls in the background? I've spent a very long time making skies and developed all sorts of random little techniques for doing it, and that sky is the culmination of all that experience and all those techniques, leading me to actually consider it my best sky ever. And because of that, I don't have any immediate plans to ever release that sky. If I quit Bedwars, I probably will, but for the meantime, I don't expect to ever release it. Will you make another video based on PvP tips? Probably not. I think I've exhausted about what I could come up with. Like, I end up kind of reaching at this point because I've already thought of a lot of cool PvP techniques, and at some point I just kind of run out of techniques that I'm good enough to do and are actually useful to teach. Now, unfortunately, I can't seem to read this comment, but I think it says, what is your favorite color? My favorite color is blue. Thanks for asking. If you could only choose one of these two and never use the other again, would you choose EBK or the server's lagging so freaking bad? I definitely choose to never say the lagging one ever again, because then like it's out of my control. Then I can just no longer complain again. That's best for everybody involved. And no, good guess, but my real name is not Archibald. What's a question that hasn't been asked but you still want to answer? This is a super cool question, and I have written down some questions that I often get in my comments that I just want to answer here as well. So first, will the shaders ever be released? No, my normal game shaders will never be released, and this answer will never change. These shaders are mostly made by CoolDude951. They are not my shaders to give away. And past that, Silder, the guy who made the original shaders, doesn't even allow people to release edits of his shaders again. There's a ton of barriers that make it so that I will never release the shaders, but I expect to keep getting questions about this until I quit YouTube entirely. Do you add on Hypixel? In general, yeah. Do you add on Discord? In general, no. How do you see people's ping? I use a program called Qbedwars Overlay, which has a little add-on API that lets you see people's general ping. It's super useful for today's Hypixel. Where do past streams go / why do you take down streams? I don't actually take down any of my past live streams. If you go to my channel and click on the playlists tab, you'll find an entire playlist of all of my past streams. However, because I play all sorts of random shuffled copyrighted music, sometimes my streams actually get taken down by YouTube, so if any of them are missing from the playlist, that's probably why. Thank you all so much for the comments and the general interest in my content. This video ended up being really long, so if you actually watched the whole thing, feel free to leave a little comment about it. I'm not saying it this time for the same reason I do in the tips videos, which is to generate more engagement. This time I'm truly just curious whether people listen to me yap for an hour about stuff about myself, or whether I was a little ambitious in answering basically every question. But yeah, love you guys, more content to come, and I will see you next time. Like yo bitch, come hearts on my jeans, you ain't never seen this shit. Now I'm up, I got a couple bad bitches on my dick. I've been on my bankroll, you been looking on my shit. Sort of talking, every time I use is one-sided. Getting hella big.